Okay, in today's topic, we'll be looking at composite function and more about composite function. And the learning objective of today's lesson will be on how two functions can be combined, how we are going to combine two functions to form a new composite function. And also we are going to look at how to form and manipulate expression for compound function. But before going through this objective of the lesson today, the students should be familiar with this symbol, this notation. This notation, we call it f of x. The students must be familiar with this notation, f of x. And the student also should be familiar with multiplying two linear brackets, which are the previous lesson we have done. How to multiply two linear brackets. Okay, so we look at this question. Say, given f of x to be 8x plus 5 all divided by 2, and g of x to be 4x minus 7. Write down and simplify an expression for f g of x, g f of x, and evaluate f of s, f of 0. Okay. Now in this case, first of all, as I said, the student must be familiar with f of x notation. Okay. Now, for us to solve this question, we have f of x to be equal to 8x plus 5 over 2, and g of x to be equal to 4x minus 7. Now look at this. First one, A said write down and simplify an expression for f g of x. Now for us to solve this f g of x, what I need to do is, this is my g. Look at my g, 4x minus 7, g of x. I will take the g of x, and substitute here, because this place now represent my f of x. All here represent, all this place represent my f of x. Now my x now is g of x. You see that how it goes from step 1 to other one. So what I'm going to do here is I will replace this. I will now have this to be f of g of s is 4x minus 7. Now f x now is no longer s but 4x minus 7. So I will, anywhere I come across here, I will no longer have x, either we have 4x minus 7. So now this will now be 8. I can now have this x again. What I'm having there is 4x minus 7, then plus 5, all divided by 2. Okay, I'm going to work this out now. As I said, the student must be familiar with multiplying linear bracket. Okay, so 8 times 3x will give us 32x, and 8 times 7 will give us minus 56. 8 times minus 7, 8 times minus 7 will give us minus 56. Then plus 5. Remember, our 5 is there. Then all divided by 2. Now I'm going to work this out. Minus 5 plus minus 56 plus 5 will give me minus 51. Okay, so we have this to be 32x minus 51 all over 2, and this is the final answer. Okay, now let's look at this g of x. Let's look at g of x. Okay, let's look at g of x. Yeah, the b part, g of f of x, as we always do in the other one, this is g of x, which is 4x minus 7. Now we assume that this now is x. Here is x. I will bring this and substitute here because my f of x is this. I will bring this and substitute here. You see that? Why my g is 4x minus 7. So this will now be g 8x plus 5 all over 2. You see that? Now for me to solve this, this is my x, and then this, all this is what x represents. You see that? So if I come across this, anywhere I come across x, I will replace it with this because this is what x represents. Now I will have my 4. This is x. Now is what? 8x plus 5 over 2 minus 7. 7 don't have x. Okay. This one we can divide. 2 divide itself. 2 divide itself is 1. 2 divide 4 is 2. Okay. Now I can now have this to be 2 times 8 is 16x, and 2 times 5, that should be plus 10, then minus 7. So this will now be 16. 10 minus 7 is 3. So this now gives me 16x plus 3, and this is the answer. Okay, now let's look at another question. Now this question said, given f of x solution. Given f of x to be this. F of x is 9x plus 8, and g of x is 7x minus 6. Oh, pardon me, I didn't finish up the C part. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's finish up the C part. Now, the C part of it says evaluate f of 0. So for me to evaluate f of 0, my f of x is 8x plus 5 over 2. Now my f of x, now let me just take f of fs, simply means that this one, I will use this to be my x, and my x now is this, so I will substitute it here. So this will now be that f of x will now be, f of x is 8x plus 5 over 2. 8. This is now, this will now be what? This will now be equal to what? This is my f of x. Anywhere I come across x, I will replace it with this. So this will be 8. 8x plus 5 over 2. Then plus 5 all over 2. I see how it is. Don't feel scared. We can solve it one after the other. Now what I'm going to do here, first of all, is that I'm going to divide this now by 2. If 2 divide here is 1, 2 divide here is 4. So I can say 4 times 8 is 32. 32x plus 5, 32x plus this times this is 20. 32x plus 20, that's 4 times 5, 20, plus this 5, now bring it down, all divided with these 2, which can easily give us 32 plus 25 over 2. Therefore my f of f0 will be, I will replace this with 0. This will now be 0. X is 0. So if this goes to 0, I will have this to be 25 over 2. And this is the answer. But it seems that this is a long process. We have a shorter process to do it. Now, for me to do it maybe in a shorter process, if I have f of x, to do it in a shorter way, if I have f of x to be 8x plus 5 over 2, and we are told to find f of 0. So what I'm going to do here is simple and short. Substitute first. Substitute first. Here is my f. This is my f. I will use to substitute inside here because this is my x equal to this. I'll substitute here. So I will have this to be f of 8x plus 5 all over 2. And what this gives us is, anywhere I come across x, we'll replace it with this number. Anywhere I come across x, replace with this number. Okay, now this will now be 8. My s will now be this number, 8x plus 5 over 2, then this one plus 5, and this one divided by 2. So my f of f0 simply means I will substitute x to be 0. So if I substitute x to be 0, this number here will now be 0, because 8 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 5 is 5. So I will have that to be, that will now be 8 into 0 plus 5 is 5 over 2 plus 5 all over 2, so that this will cancel this to be 4, and 4 times 5 is 20 plus 5 over 2. So 20 plus 5 is 25 over 2. You see, that is what we have previously, 25 over 2. Okay, so that's how we solve the question. Now let's quickly solve this now. Because of time factor, I'll be fast on this. Now this says f of x equal to 9x plus 8, and g of x equal to this, and we're asked to find we're asked to find f of g, fg of x. Okay, fg of x means this my g. Since this is my g, I will remove this and replace it with what? 7x minus 6. Remove this, replace with 7x minus 6. So this will now be f of, it will now be f of 7x minus 6, which is equal to this, because my f of x is this, which is equal to 9x plus 8. So anywhere I come across x, I'll replace it with this 7x minus 6. So this will now be 9 into 7x minus 6, then plus 8. So if I add together, I will have 9 times 7, that gives me 63. Okay, then 63x minus 9 times 6, that is 54 plus 8. Okay, so I will now have minus 54 plus 8, that gives me minus 46. So we have this minus 46, and this is my answer. Okay, I will leave this to solve. You solve this because of time factor, and let me quickly do this also here. Now in that case we have f of f2. So what it means here is anywhere I come across x, replace it with 2. Why this f of x will be substituted into f, will be substituted into f. You see that f will be substituted into f. So yeah, I will have this to be f will be substituted into f. So anywhere I come across x, I will replace it with this. So this will now be 9. My x will be substituted into this, then plus 8. You see that? So if this is 2, if this is 2, I will substitute here to be 2. I'll have 9, 18 plus 8. Okay, so this will now be 9 times 18 we have 162 plus 72 plus 8. Okay, so we have 162 plus 72 plus 8. So that gives us what? 242. So 242 is the answer. So I wish you have to do this because of time factor. So see you next class, and always read, make up your homework. Bye.